Morning. Let's move to the sixth important chapter in soil mechanics, that is permeability of soil. What is permeability? Permeability of soil is the property of a soil which allows a passage through which flow is to be occur. Means when water is trying to pass through a soil molecules are going to provide a passage through which water can easily flow, and that passage we call as continuous voids in a soil. So permeability, in permeability, flow is due to continuous voids in a soil. So if voids are not available, then there is no space available for a water to flow through it. Means for flow, void must be there. So permeability we denote by symbol K, and it is expressed in unit centimeter per second or meter per second. See, it is nothing but velocity. We are going to measure the velocity of water in which unit, meter per second or centimeter per second. Similarly, flow is nothing but its velocity that we call as a permeability. Permeability for a loose soil is very high, and permeability for a compacted soil is very less. Now what is the reason behind this? When soil is in loose condition, more void spaces are available through which water can easily pass, therefore it acquires more velocity, means it acquires more permeability. When soil is in compacted condition, then void spaces are completely reduced. Then space available for a water molecule to travel at the faster rate is reduces. Means when void spaces reduces, permeability also reduces. So for general guidelines, permeability value when expressed in centimeter per second is more than 10 raised to minus 1 is 0.1, then we call this as highly permeable soil. For example, gravels. Take an example of aggregates, and when you pass the water through aggregates, water can easily create the passage, means they are highly permeable. When K value, that is permeability, is less than 10 raised to power minus 7 expressed in centimeter per second, then soil we call as low permeable soil. Now what is the example of that soil? Steep clay. Steep means a hard bound clay, okay, which is highly compacted or highly consolidated, which do not shows higher values of permeability. Now remember, as far as MPC gate exam point of view is concerned, the range is very important. K more than 10 raised to minus 1 cm per second, highly permeable. K value more less than 10 raised to minus 7 cm per second, low permeable. High permeable gravels, low permeable is a steep clay. So what we learn from this, very important, you mark this line. I think that line is given in your notes. Note number 1, you make underline by different color pen. When soil is in loose condition, void spaces increases, which increase the permeability. Densest soil, that is compacted soil, shows less void spaces, therefore it has a less permeability. Okay. And one more line you can add. That point, that line we are going to discuss again in factors affecting permeability. But for time being, permeability value increases with increase in size of particle. More is the size of particle, higher is the permeability. Gravel is having more size, having higher permeability. Clay having lower size, having low permeability. Okay. Now move to the next part in permeability, that is flow condition in a soil. Look at the board. Condition for flow. On board, one diagram is drawn which represents a flow is going to occur through a pipe. Okay, you can take an example. Pipe is made up of either PVC or steel, that doesn't matter. Flow, so this is the direction of flow. This is the point A where we are going to measure the pressure and the velocity. So when we insert a piezometer, there is a development of pressure head. And when we measure velocity at point A, we got the velocity head v square upon 2g. Velocity up to this level we have constant pressure head. But when we go near the point A, there is a rise in the piezometer. That rise is nothing but velocity head. Near the surface of a pipe, pressure head, at the center of pipe, there is a development of velocity head. And see, there is a resistance offered to the flow in the form of a friction developed due to pipe material. Pipe material is going to offer resistance to the flow in the form of a friction. Now, this is a fixed reference plane you call as a datum. Now, point A is located at the center of the pipe, and we are going to calculate the total head or potential head or energy in the pipe system. So here, total head or energy of water or potential of water is equal to or is given as total head is equal to pressure head plus velocity head plus datum. So symbolically, total head H equal to pressure head plus velocity head plus datum. Now one more important point is this flow is going to occur through pipe system and resistance is in the form of surrounding pipe material. Now imagine if flow is going to occur through soil, then what happens? When flow is about to start its movement or its approach through a soil mass, then soil grains are going to create the obstruction to the flow. And when that obstruction is not at minor level, this obstruction is very high because water flow or water velocity completely restricted, and then water is going to find the path through the void spaces. That's why velocity to the water when it is going to flow through a soil mass is not possible. So whenever we are going to deal with the flow through a soil mass, velocity term does not exist. It's a 1 mark question because of higher resistance offered by the soil grains. Okay. Now in our next part we'll discuss how flow is actually occurred in a soil mass. Okay. Look at the board. This is the condition for flow through a soil mass. Flow occurs only due to availability of head loss. If there is no head loss, there is no possibility of flow. And that we are going to verify with one example. So look at the board. This is a soil mass. At the top of the soil, there is a location of point A, and at a depth h, location of point number B. And this is the direction of flow. But remember, when water is going to pass through the soil mass, what we learn? Particles are going to offer more resistance, therefore velocity is not possible. Okay, so it's a stationary water there in a soil mass. So I am going to calculate pressure head, velocity head and datum height, and then I am going to calculate total head at point A and at point B. So first of all, pressure head. What is the value of pressure head at point A? When you insert piezometer at point A, water is stationary. There is no rise of water in the piezometer. This value becomes 0. When you insert piezometer at point B, when we insert piezometer at point B, then water will slowly rise as it is stationary. Up to what height that water is going to occupy? That is exactly equal to what? H. So P by W, it becomes H. So P by W becomes H. At point A, this is surface level, no rise of water, as height of rise of water is 0. So pressure head developed at point A is 0. But at point B, when we insert the piezometer, water will rise up to height H. So pressure head available at point B is H. Velocity head V square upon 2G is neglected. In soil, V square upon 2G is neglected. We are not going to consider velocity of flow when flow is going to occur through a soil mass. Now, datum for point A, this is the datum line. What is the position of point A with respect to datum? With respect to datum, position of point A is what? H. And what is the position of point B with respect to datum? It clearly, see, you can clearly observe that datum and point B are exactly same, or you can say point B is lying on datum itself. So ZB equal to what? 0. Now I am going to calculate total head for A. So total head for A 0. This is neglected. H. Total head for B is equal to H plus neglected plus 0 H. Now what is head loss? Head loss is the difference between the two heads. So if I am going to calculate head loss, HF equal to HA minus HB. So HA is equal to what? H. HA equal to H. HB equal to H. So what is the value of head loss? Head loss is equal to 0. And when the head loss becomes 0, then flow never occurs in a soil mass. Now in our next diagram, we'll see how flow is going to occur when head loss exists. Okay? Look at the board. Now soil profile is changed. Now soil profile is considered in an inclined manner. So when soil is inclined with respect to datum, we are going to calculate the total heads available at point A and at point B. So let's start from point A. So value of pressure head PA by gamma W at point A is some value exists. Okay, we call this as suppose HA. There is some rise when I insert piezometer near, here is your point A, this is the point A. When I insert piezometer near point A, there is some rise of water in the piezometer. That height we denote as suppose HA. Then velocity head V square upon 2G is completely neglected in soil mechanics. We are not going to consider V square upon 2G. Now datum, that is Z equal to, with respect to datum, the position of A is ZA. When you calculate total H, it becomes HA plus ZA. Now let's move to the point number B. When we insert the piezometer at point B, there is a rise of water in the capillary, in a piezometer in the form of capillary. So piezometer shows the pressure head P by gamma W. That height we denote by symbol HB. So at point B, pressure head PV gamma W becomes HB. Velocity head V square upon 2G. Again in case of soil 0. Now datum Z equals to ZB. Datum for point B with respect to datum, its height is ZB. Now calculate total head. Total head is equal to HB plus of ZB. HB plus of ZB. Now let's calculate head loss. If you calculate head loss is equal to head 1 minus head 2. So head at A minus head at B. And when we replace the value of HA, here I can write HA. This is HB. So here if I replace HA value and here I replace HB value, then answer for head loss never becomes 0. Therefore, there is a possibility of flow. So what we learn from this? Whenever head loss becomes 0, flow never occurs. And when a head loss is non-zero value, then there is a possibility of flow. That's why if you observe in case of dam sections, the dams are like this. This we call as downstream. Here we have water. This we call as upstream. If upstream head is H and downstream water is small h, if you take huge height, minus a small height, there is a head difference. Therefore, flow from upstream to downstream is possible. Okay. Now, for that, we can take one more example. If you hold this bottle exactly horizontal, my point A is here and point B is here, and take any reference plane. With reference to that plane, datum for A and datum for B exactly same. When you insert piezometer over here and piezometer at point B over here, then value of pressure head remains same. Therefore, flow is not possible. When you increase one of the bottle end like this, then there is a possibility of flow. Means what? There is an increase of datum, increase, and here is increase of pressure. इथं pressure कमी होतं, या एंडला pressure वाढतं, and this datum is reduces, this datum is increases. That's why there is a development of head loss, and because of head loss, there is development of flow. Okay, so this is the most important point in soil mechanics from the part of fluid mechanics. Okay. So in your notes, one point is given. Head loss is 0 as total heads are same. Flow cannot be occur. One note is given. When flow occurs through soil, maximum resistance is developed due to soil grains. That is, velocity term is neglected in soil mechanics. Now after this, our next part is Darcy's law for permeability. Okay. Look at the board. Let's move to the next concept, Darcy's law of permeability. According to Darcy's law, velocity is directly proportional to hydraulic gradient. As per his statement, velocity directly proportional to hydraulic gradient. Let's remove this proportionality. So V equals to K into I, where K we call as permeability expressed in centimeter per second or meter per second. V we call as fictitious velocity. Fictitious velocity means an imaginary velocity, or we call as kalpanik velocity. Okay, fictitious velocity, and I is the hydraulic gradient. Now, what is hydraulic gradient? Hydraulic gradient is the head loss per unit length of soil mass. Hydraulic gradient I equals to head loss per unit length of soil mass. So, how to calculate that head loss that we learned in our previous concept? Head loss H equal to H1 minus H2. What is that H1? Upper head minus lower head. That difference between the heads at the 2 points we call as a head loss. Okay. Now look at the board. Here, if I choose 2 points, point A and point B, and this is the datum. So with respect to datum, this is we have head H1 and this is we have head H2. If we check difference in the head, then there is a possibility of head loss. Possibility of head loss is there, therefore possibility of flow exists. So head loss. What is L? L is equal to length of soil sample in the direction of flow. That is very important. In the direction of flow. Suppose I have 2 particles A and B. They are located at the same position. Their distances with respect to datum are exactly same. Then there is no possibility of development of head, no possibility of development of head loss. When there is no head loss, no hydraulic gradient, no velocity. That is no permeability. Now if A and B, they are located at different positions like this. B is here, A is here. This is your datum. Then we have head loss, head at A, head at B are different, then head loss exists. Now question for length between the particles. For the length between the particles, that length we don't want in a horizontal direction. that length we always want in the direction of flow. If flow direction is like this, then we have to calculate this inclined length between the two particles, and that is the tricky question in a GATE examination. They will always provide the horizontal distance between the two particles, and we use that value as it is in the problem. But remember, we have to calculate the length between the 2 points in the direction of flow. Okay, so in your notes, the points note is given. When hydraulic gradient is exactly equal to unity, V equal to K into R. When hydraulic gradient exactly equal to unity, then permeability itself becomes velocity or superficial velocity of the flow. And second note is given in your notebook, that is approximate values of K. And remember, these values are most important for MPSC examination question, particularly in the question of match the pairs or sometimes identify the correct range for permeability for a specific type of soil. So here it is given, when we have soil like gravels, then K value approximate equal to 1 expressed in centimeter per second. When we have sand, then K value is in the range of 10 raised to minus 2, unit is saying cm per second. When we have silt particle, K value is approximately 10 raised to minus 4 cm per second, and when we have clay particles, then K value is 10 raised to minus 6 cm per second. So if you observe, with decrease in size of particle, permeability value also decreases. As vice versa, with increase in size of particle, permeability value also increases. Okay. Now let's move to the next concept, validity of Darcy's law. Let's move to the next concept. Look at the board. Validity of Darcy's law. Darcy's law कोणत्या कंडिशनला applicable होतो? There are three conditions. The first condition is the flow must be laminar flow. The flow must be laminar flow. Okay, very important for 1 mark question in MPSC, GATE, PWD, WRD examination. Okay, and laminar flow exists only in clay soil, silty soil, and fine sands. Laminar flow does not exist in gravel and sand particles. Gravelly soil or sandy soil shows turbulent flow. So laminar flow is essential and it exists only when soil is either clay, silty or sandy soil. Next condition is Darcy's equation is applicable only when head loss is non-zero value. That is, head loss must exist in the soil. If head loss is not possible, then no possibility of flow. No possibility of flow, Darcy's expression is not applicable. Now third condition is laminar flow exists only when Reynolds number is less than 1. Okay, look at the board. If Reynolds number is exactly equal to 1, we call this flow as uniform flow. If Reynolds number is more than 1, we call as turbulent flow. When Reynolds number exactly equal to 1, we call uniform flow. Reynolds number more than 1, we call turbulent flow. And Reynolds number less than 1, we call laminar flow. Laminar flow. So these are the conditions essential for validity of Darcy's law. Now after this, we are going to move to the next concept, which is the most important for defining the velocities when flow is going to occur through a soil mass. That is seepage velocity and the discharge velocity. Look at the board. The next concept is seepage velocity and discharge velocity. Suppose this is the section where soil sample is under the action of flow of water from one side, and the flow is going to pass through the body of the soil mass and receive at the other side. And the difference between the two heads of the flow we call as a head loss. Okay, why there is a difference in the head? Whatever head is available over here, that head may not be received at the other end because of the restrictions offered by the soil grains. So on other hand, we have lower level head, so the difference in the head we call as a head loss. The length of soil sample we denote by symbol L. Now we took a cross section over here. In that cross section, if I draw, it looks like this. The soil sample cross section whose width is B and say depth is D. Now I am going to write first part, that is seepage velocity. Seepage velocity is also known as true velocity or actual velocity. So seepage velocity is also known as, very important, true velocity or actual velocity Seepage velocity is also known as true velocity or actual velocity. Now what is the meaning of discharge velocity? Discharge velocity we also call as apparent velocity. ओके, म्हणजेच काय, एक आहे ट्रू वेलॉसिटी आणि दुसरी आहे अपरंट किंवा फॉल्स वेलॉसिटी, त्याला आपण म्हणतो फॉल्स वेलॉसिटी. ओके, we got the code. How to calculate discharge velocity and the seepage velocity? What we learn, seepage velocity means actual velocity or true velocity, and discharge velocity means apparent velocity or false velocity. Now where is the difference? Look at the board. Discharge velocity is equal to V equals to discharge upon area, and seepage velocity equal to same discharge but area of voids. Where is the main difference? Whenever we consider area, we take the area of soil mass. What is that? B into D. That area at the cross section XX, the area is B into D. If you take this area as B into D, then velocity obtained is a discharge velocity. But in reality, flow is not going to occur through whole soil mass. The flow will occur only through void spaces. So what we want? We want area of void spaces. Then only we'll get actual velocity. So look at the board. Suppose these are the particles. Okay. But okay, now when flow occurs, flow is not going to pass through soil grain. Flow will pass through the void spaces. These are the void spaces. So I want area of void spaces. So if I get the value of area of voids, then velocity obtained is the seepage velocity or true velocity. Now let's discuss what is the relationship between discharge velocity and seepage velocity. Look at the board. A cross section of a soil mass is drawn whose width is B and the depth is D. If I want area of that particular cross section of a soil sample, then one can write area equals to B into D. That is the total area. If I use this area, then velocity obtained is the discharge velocity, discharge upon area. Remember, discharge is going to occur through soil mass. That discharge remains constant. Discharge doesn't change. Only change in the method of or technique of selecting the area of soil mass. Now these are the yellow color dots indicates void spaces through which actual flow is going to occur in a soil mass. If I'm able to get that area, so that area of voids is equal to what? Total area of that block minus area of solids. Area of soil block minus area of soil solids, then you will get area of what? Voids. If we get area of voids and compare with the total area of soil mass, then obviously area of voids is always less than total area of soil mass. Now velocity is inversely proportional to 1 upon area. Velocity inversely proportional to area. How? Velocity equal to what? Discharge upon area. So velocity inversely proportional to area. As area decreases, velocity value increases. So in between seepage velocity Vs and discharge velocity V, seepage velocity is always more than discharge velocity. Whenever you are going to solve the problems in a GATE examination and the question is find out the seepage velocity and discharge velocity is given to you, then remember seepage velocity always more than discharge velocity, as seepage velocity or true velocity or actual velocity deals with area of voids, and area of voids are always less than area of soil mass. As area decreases, velocity increases. Okay, now let's move to the establishing the relationship between A and AB. Okay, look at the board. As I said, we are going to establish relationship between A and AB or V and Vs. Okay, let's start with assuming discharge, that is flow through a soil mass, always remains constant. So seepage velocity Vs is equal to discharge upon area of voids. Therefore discharge is equal to Vs into AB. This is equation number 1. Now discharge velocity, that is apparent velocity V equals to Q divided by total area of soil mass. Therefore Q equals to A into V, expression number 2. As discharge is constant, we are going to equate expression 1 and 2. When we equate Vs AB is equal to A into V. Now AB I will transform this side, so Vs is equal to A upon AB into V, expression number 3. What is the definition of porosity which we learn in our third chapter, that is properties and relationship? Porosity N is equal to volume of voids upon total volume of soil mass. Now what is volume? Volume V equals to area into length, area A into length, that is nothing but what? Volume. So in a soil mass, where we draw the diagram like this, the length of soil mass is constant. Whether you deal with the seepage velocity or discharge velocity, length remains constant. Now volume V is area into length. I am going to replace here. So I will remove this part. Okay. So VV. So porosity equals to VV means area of voids into length of sample. Total volume means area into length. LL get cancelled. So porosity becomes AB upon A. Now take a reciprocal of this. 1 upon porosity equals to A upon AB. Now observe equation number 3. Over here we have A upon AB. Therefore Vs is equal to, for this A upon AB, I am going to replace 1 upon N here. So 1 upon N into V. So finally Vs is equal to V upon porosity. So this is the expression or relationship between seepage velocity and the discharge velocity. Okay. So for example, if discharge velocity is equal to 1, porosity is 0.5, then your seepage velocity or true velocity becomes 2 meter per second. Understand? If discharge velocity is 1 meter per second, porosity is 50%, that is 0.5, then your seepage velocity or true velocity becomes 2 meter per second. Now from these two answers one can easily understand seepage velocity is always more than what? Discharge velocity. Remember, Vs is always more than what? V. Okay. So here completes the concept of seepage velocity and discharge velocity. One note is given in your notebook. Check this. Coefficient of permeability is also known as hydraulic conductivity. Sometimes in a gate problems, instead of providing term permeability, they mention hydraulic conductivity. So hydraulic conductivity is nothing but permeability. Okay. So move to the next concept, that is coefficient of percolation. Look at the board. Next concept is coefficient of percolation, that is symbol is Kp. See, this depends upon seepage velocity and discharge velocities. How? According to Darcy's law, velocity is directly proportional to hydraulic gradient, and that velocity is the discharge velocity. Okay, so discharge velocity or apparent velocity or fictitious velocity directly proportional to hydraulic gradient. Then we used to write like this: V equal to K into I. In that K stands for coefficient of permeability. Now we are discussing coefficient of percolation. Okay. Now instead of discharge velocity or apparent velocity, if we use seepage velocity, that is Vs, then statement may be like this: seepage velocity is directly proportional to hydraulic gradient. So Vs directly proportional to hydraulic gradient. And to remove this proportionality, we are going to replace a constant. Therefore, Vs equals to Kp into I, and that Kp we call as coefficient of percolation. Now, what is the relationship between Kp and this K? It is Kp equals to K upon porosity. See, this is similar to relationship between discharge velocity and the seepage velocity. Seepage velocity Vs is equal to discharge velocity upon coefficient of seepage velocity equal to discharge velocity upon coefficient of what? Porosity. This is the porosity. Similarly, Kp equal to K upon porosity. Okay. So it is, they are similar. Okay. So this is the most important question for 1 mark in MPC. Again, important question for MPC for 1 mark in GATE exam as far as problem part is concerned. So in your notes, this is the point is given. Kp is always more than K. Obviously, if Vs is more than V in this relationship, therefore in this relationship Kp is also more than what? K. Okay. So now here completes the concept of seepage velocity, discharge velocity, coefficient of permeability and coefficient of percolation. Now move to the next concept, that is factors affecting permeability. Look at the board. Most important term in chapter permeability, factors affecting permeability. And whenever we are dealing with the factors formulations which controls the permeability or which directly affects the permeability, then you should remember this expression. If you remember this expression, one can easily understand which factors are going to affect the permeability value for a given soil sample. See, what is the expression here? K equals to C D10. D10 is what? It is the effective diameter of particle whose percentage finder is 10. So D square E cube divided by 1 plus E into gamma W divided by mu. So what is the meaning of these terms? C stands for shape factor or shape constant. D stands for size of particle. E stands for void ratio. Gamma W stands for unit weight of fluid or unit weight of the liquid which is going to flow through a soil mass. Then mu is the dynamic viscosity. So whenever we are going to write the factors affecting permeability, we should remember this expression. Okay, now let's start with the first particle. or first factor, that is the size of particle. So look at the board. Size of particle, K proportional to d square. K proportional to d square. Therefore what? As d diameter increases, permeability increases. जसा जसा पार्टिकलचा डायमीटर वाढत जाईल तसे त्यातले वाईड स्पेसेस वाढतात. वाईड स्पेसेस वाढले की ऑटोमॅटिकली त्याची परमॅबिलिटी पण वाढत जाते. म्हणजेच डायमीटर ऑफ पार्टिकल increases, permeability increases. So one can write a relationship between permeability and the size of particle, that is K1 upon K2 is equal to d1 square upon d2 square. If you observe, K proportional to d1 square, K2 proportional to d2 square. Okay, that is K1 upon K2 equals to d1 square upon d2 square. This is again a 1 mark question in the GATE examination. They will provide one permeability and two different sizes, and question is find out the second permeability. So that type of problem is given in your notes. Let's try to solve that problem. So what is the statement given there? If size of particle increases 2 times, then permeability increases or decreases by dash. So for that, initial permeability I am going to assume K1, second permeability I am going to assume K2, initial size I am going to assume D, second size I am going to assume D 2 times of D. First permeability as K. Initial permeability K1 as K, initial size D1 as D. What is statement there? Diameter increases by 2 times. So second diameter size D2 increases 2 times of D. Then what is the value of second permeability? So we use this relationship, K1 upon K2 equals to D1 square upon D2 square. So K1 becomes K, K2 as it is. D1 square means D square divided by D2 means 2D square means 4D square. D square get cancelled. So what remains? K upon K2 equals to 1 by 4. Therefore do cross multiplication. So K2 equals to 4 times of K. That is your answer for 1 mark in MPC, 1 mark in GATE without calculator. So when diameter increases 2 times, permeability increases by 4 times. Okay. Now let's move to the next factor affecting permeability, that is the void ratio. Look at the board. Second factor, that is void ratio. From this expression of permeability, if you observe, K directly proportional to E cube upon 1 plus E. If we remove this 1, then one can again write K proportional to E cube upon E. So E and E cube get cancelled. So one can again write K proportional to E square, or one can write log K equal to E. But what is the meaning of this? If I focus on this, it indicates as K and E void ratio increases, permeability increases because they are directly proportional. K directly proportional to E square. What is the meaning of this? With increase in void ratio, permeability increases. But this is not true. Why? Because what we learn in permeability, permeability is higher for larger size particle. K value is always more for large size diameter particle. So gravels are having more permeability and clay are having less permeability. So if I call this gravel and this one as clay, then K is more, K is less. But according to this statement, which soil is having highest void ratio? That we learn in our 3rd chapter in 3-phase system void ratio. Void ratio is highest for a soil which is very fine in size. Means void ratio increases with decrease in size of particle. That's why clay shows highest void ratio and gravels are having least void ratio. So void ratio is high for void ratio is more for clay, but permeability is less for clay, and void ratio is less for gravel, Therefore, permeability is more for gravel. This is the reality. But what this expression says, K proportional to E, means with increase in void ratio, permeability increases, which is not true. There is a paradox. Paradox म्हणजे यामध्ये मतभेद आहे की हे असं कसं होऊ शकतं. जर एखाद्या पार्टिकलची साईज जास्त असेल तर परमेबिलिटी जास्त असते, मग वाईड रेशो जास्त असलेल्या सॉइलला परमेबिलिटी जास्त कशी होऊ शकते. दॅट्स व्हाय देयर इज अ पॅराडॉक्स, देयर इज अ डिस्प्यूट बिटवीन द रिसर्चर्स. त्यामुळे काय केलं गेलं, टू ओव्हरकम दिस सिच्युएशन दे इंट्रोड्यूस एक्स्ट्रा टर्म. व्हॉट इज दॅट? C, that is shape factor or shape constant. Now this expression becomes K proportional to C into E square, like this. C into E square. आता यामुळे काय झालं, K is not directly depends on E square. It depends on the product of C and E. आता what about K proportional to C into E? So C, look at the board. Look at the board. Suppose this is the gravel and this is the clay particle. This is the clay particle. So shape constant C is more for gravel. Shape constant C is more for gravel and shape constant C is less for clay. So in one line one can say C values are higher for large size particle. Large size particle. C values, that is shape constant values, are higher for large size particle. Means gravels are having higher values of C, but gravels are having least values of E, that is void ratio. Clay having smaller values of shape constant C, but they have highest values of void ratio. Now in comparison to C and E, C is always higher multiplying factor. Now when you calculate the product, when we calculate that product C into E, when we take the multiplication C into E for a gravel, this value is always more. And when we take product C into E for clay, this is for gravel, this value is always less. Okay, so what we learn from this, void ratio is less for gravel but shape constant is more for gravel. Void ratio is more for clay but shape constant is less for clay. But when you take the product C into E, that product is higher for gravel and having low values for clay. Now when you compare with K proportional to C into E, this ratio, this product C into E is higher for what? Gravel. So this clearly specifies permeability increases with increase in size of particle and permeability increases with increase in the value of the product, and this product value is always higher for gravel. Okay, so in your notes this one, the last line is given. To overcome this, they introduce a term shape factor or shape constant. Shape factor values more for coarse grained soil. You may underline by different color paint. Shape factor values or shape constant values are more for coarse grained soil and less for fine grained soil. Again you may underline, for clay C is less but E is more. It is given for clay C is less, E is more. Again underline next point, for gravel C is more, E is less. Again underline C into E for gravel, C into E for gravel is more and more than C into E for clay. So it gives true relationship between K and E. One more, two notes are given in your notes. So first note is shape factor depends on. So it depends on type. हा जो C आहे shape factor हा पुन्हा depend करतो. It's very important question in MPSC examination. So first is type of soil. Shape factor C depends on, first is type of soil, second is shape of particle, and the third one is soil packing. Soil packing. See, type of soil means whether it is clay, silt, sand or gravel like this. Shape of particle means whether it is rounded shape, angular shape, flaky shape like this. And soil packing means whether they loosely arranged or they compacted or dense condition. म्हणजे ग्रेन्स असे लूज मध्ये आहेत की ग्रेन्स असे कॉम्पॅक्ट स्टेट मध्ये, त्याला म्हणतात पॅकिंग. या तिघांवरती काय ठरतं? द व्हॅल्यू ऑफ शेप फॅक्टर. सेकंड नोट इज गिवन, soil with angular particle are less permeable than rounded particles under the same void ratio. What is the meaning of this second note? There are two shapes for the soil particles, angular and rounded. हे आपण arrange केले like this. We arrange these particles. आता हे particles असे arrange केले. We arrange these particles in such a way that दोघांचाही void ratio कसा असणार आहे? कॉन्स्टंट. दोघांचे व्हॅल्यू सेम आहे, वाईड रेशो सेम ठेवला तर अशा केस मध्ये वेअर इज द पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ मॅक्सिमम परमिएबिलिटी? द आन्सर इज सॉइल विथ अँग्युलर पार्टिकल्स आर लेस परमिएबल. वाईड रेशो जरी सेम असला तरी अँग्युलर शेप पार्टिकल्सच्या पॅकिंगमुळे, हे पॅकिंग स्ट्रॉंग का होतं? बिकॉज ऑफ इंटरलॉकिंग ऑफ ॲग्रिगेट्स. हे पार्टिकल्स एकमेकांच्या मध्ये इंटरलॉक्ड होतात असे, तर व्हाईट स्पेसेस फार कमी राहतात. आणि वाईड रेशो जरी कॉन्स्टंट असला तरी वाईड स्पेस कमी झाल्यामुळे, वाईड रेशो डिफरंट, वाईड स्पेस डिफरंट. ओके, सो वाईड रेशो जरी कॉन्स्टंट असला तरी वाईड स्पेसेस कमी झाल्यामुळे याची परमिएबिलिटी कमी होते आणि याची परमिएबिलिटी काय असते? जास्त. सो अँग्युलर शेप पार्टिकल शोज लेस परमिएबिलिटी whereas rounded shape particle shows more permeability. So here completes the second factor affecting permeability. Now let's move to the third factor, that is properties of soil which affects the permeability. Look at the board. Let's move to the third property that affects permeability, that is properties of percolating fluid. This is the expression for permeability. From that expression you can easily observe K directly proportional to gamma W and permeability K inversely proportional to dynamic viscosity mu. Okay, but here what is gamma W? Unit weight of percolating fluid. Okay, unit weight. If it is water, then gamma W is the unit weight of that water. Mu, dynamic viscosity, and we know that viscosity is widely affected by temperature. As temperature increases, viscosity decreases. As viscosity decreases, flow increases. As flow increases, permeability increases. So first of all, try to understand what is viscosity. Viscosity means resistance to the flow. Flow ला होणारा विरोध किंवा obstruction त्याला म्हणतो आपण. आता टेम्परेचर जर इंक्रीज झालं तर विस्कॉसिटी कमी होते. याचा अर्थ काय होतो? विस्कॉसिटी म्हणजे त्याचा काय असतो? रेजिस्टन्स कमी होतो. as temperature increases, viscosity decreases. विस्कॉसिटी डिक्रीज झाली तर काय होतं? फ्लो वाढतो. फ्लो वाढतो म्हणजे काय वाढतो? परमिएबिलिटी वाढते. ओके, नाउ आई एम गोइंग टू डेव्हलप रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन permeability, unit weight, permeability and dynamic viscosity. Okay, so in your notebook, in your notes, you mark that point by different color pen. With increase in temperature, viscosity decreases, therefore permeability increases. Now I am going to derive relationship between permeability, unit weight of fluid, permeability and dynamic viscosity. Okay, for that look at the board very carefully. As we know that permeability is directly proportional to unit weight of fluid, therefore K1 upon K2 is equal to gamma W1 upon gamma W2. K1 directly proportional to gamma W1, K2 directly proportional to gamma W2. Now similarly, K inversely proportional to 1 upon dynamic viscosity. Therefore, K1 upon K2 is equal to mu2 upon mu1. Mu2 upon mu1. K1 inversely mu1, K2 inversely mu2. Okay. Now by using this relationship, we are going to write third relationship by combining all together. Okay. Now look at the board. For that, we will write like this: K1 upon K2 equals to gamma W1 upon gamma W2 into this one mu2 upon mu1, like this. K1 directly proportional to gamma W1 inversely to mu1, K2 directly gamma W2 inversely to mu2. Now by using this expression, we are going to solve the two problems given in your notes. So let's start first problem solution.